Hey everyone, I'm Rushlock, and this is Cable issue number 5, the conclusion to the Conquest storyline. So it starts off with Cable in a prehistoric timeline or time setting. He's setting traps and making preparations for he knows Conquest is coming. Conquest, of course, does show up and has an army with him. They attack Cable. Cable activates the traps and beacons he's been setting up to cause the dinosaurs to be aggressive or charge into Conquest's army. There's a huge skirmish. They fight back and forth for bits. Cable and Conquest, clash as well. And at the end of it, Cable has the upper hand in combat again. The army has been pretty much wiped out by the dinosaurs. Dinosaurs aren't explained away. They kind of, I guess, stampeded past and took off. Conquest, though, shows his preparedness and calls in a second wave of assistance and has reinforcements show up. They subdue Cable. The piece of the time sword that Conquest believes Cable has is confiscated, and he assembles the time sword and tries to activate it just to find out that something is wrong, something's not working. That's when Cable reveals that he has swapped out the piece that he was carrying for a replica, or that it was a replica all along. He just wanted to trick Conquest into thinking that he had it, and they've kind of had this go back and forth argument about who's had the upper hand, who's outmaneuvered whom, and here they are having the final showdown, and Conquest believes he has what he's always wanted and what he's been chasing, and when he activates it, obviously it doesn't work as intended, and he is kind of slung into the time stream and forever adrift, according to Cable. The reinforcements that are there at first are tempted to attack Cable. Cable reminds them that, hey, I can either leave you here with the hungry dinosaurs, or you can play nice and I'll get you guys back home. And of course they all surrender. So he goes and cleans that mess up, and then he ends up back in the Mayan time period with that priest that helped him back in issue 3 to explain to him what had happened, and kind of also a way to break the story more into the idea of, like, this is always Cable's plan. He, at that point in issue 3, had the priest make him a replica of a piece of the sword that he knew wouldn't function the same, but he just needed the appearance of it so that Conquest would take the bait and follow him into a setting of Cable's choice. So that's how that one concludes. Conquest is somewhere in the time stream, hopefully lost forever. Cable's not quite certain about it when the priest asks. As far as I'm aware, Conquest is still not an established character before this storyline, so I'm a little disappointed in that there wasn't a whole lot of setup for the reader to care about Conquest or understand his motivations, other than he's just a generic conqueror of worlds, and I don't know, there wasn't a whole lot of setup for him, or a lot of substance to the character. So Cable defeats him, but it kind of takes away from some of the satisfaction when he's a no-name, unknown character. However, it is a new series, and this could be something that they establish it now and come back and revisit this character later. That could definitely happen. Cable explains to the priest. Priest asks, "How do you know you got everything you needed and cleaned up the whole mess and got all the tech off the street that you need to confiscate?" And Cable simply tells him that he doesn't, and that's why he's always on watch. And it shows him back in present day, kind of standing over a city landscape, just out on patrol, but very heroically, given the whole he's on patrol looking for trouble type thing. So Cable's kind of being set up again as the time traveling hero, going around cleaning up messes and that are more related, or specifically related to time travel. So we'll see what the next adventure holds. This was actually the end of the arc for the current writing staff, current writing talent, James Robinson, and somebody new is going to go on with issue 6, which I think is issue number 150. They're doing something strange with numbering. I don't know if they're doing something to play on the idea of time travel, or I want to say I saw a Generation X title also have a strange numbering system, so I need to look into and figure out what's going on with that. But overall, Conquest story was okay. It was decent. I think if you're a big, long-time Cable fan, you'll appreciate a simple story. Plenty of action, combat, things like that. It seemed a bit repetitive to me. What was, took 5 issues. I think it would have been trimmed down to 3. Retained all the action and definitely retained all of the storytelling. But that's how the way it went. But if you think otherwise, or if you have other opinions you'd like to share, please do so down in the comments. As I mentioned in a previous video, I don't really have anyone that reads Cable that's in our community. Most of the folks are on the main X titles, so it'd be great to network and find other people who are following around the Cable series. Since the next issue is going to have a new creative team on it. I'm going to check it out and see how that goes. And we'll see you in the next video with that issue.